I think to be successful, you must really believe inside and out in what you do. And so I think it would be impossible if we really didn't believe that traveling the way we travel isn't the very best thing to do. We just absolutely love it. I mean, we just love it. If we didn't love it, it wouldn't work.
Welcome everyone. We are back in the shop with Lance today. Good afternoon, Lance. How are you?
I'm very well. And how's yourself?
I am good, thanks. Lance is a CEO and the founder of, his company EarthCruiser. Has been more than almost 2 decades that he created from the ground up his Expedition Vehicle brand. And he's gonna tell us a little bit more about his story and his background. If you don't mind, Lance, if you want to tell us, where are you from first?
Okay.
I see a flag behind you.
Yeah, okay, that's a bit of a hint, isn't it? Yeah, so from Australia. So we started the company in Australia in 2008, and the basic reason was to start is because we like to travel, and really was a suitable vehicle for us. Our background in vehicle building and in traveling and off-road events, we sort of knew what we wanted. We were very fortunate in that regard, and there wasn't anything really off the shelf. So we built something very, very much it was designed for traveling. It wasn't modified for traveling. I think that's very important distinction. So we knew from the very beginning what we wanted the end result to be, and that product became an EarthCruiser. It became very popular. It still is very popular. And so that's really where it started. We didn't start it to have an international company. That wasn't our intention. It was to fill a need, and that need just happened to be ours. So that's where it came from.
Okay.
And we were very deliberate with our decisions to make sure it was going to be authentic, because it had to be. It's for us, and we knew what we wanted, we knew what we needed, but also it had to be legal. It had to meet a vehicle standards. We weren't interested in doing it sort of half right. We wanted to do it. We wanted it properly, and that's absolutely stood the test of time. In 2014, we started to manufacture in the United States. The reason for that is my wife is an American. She wanted to spend some time in her own country and with her family. And so we moved here, not with the intention of starting another company here. That wasn't the plan, but it just so happened that there's a lot of people in America that also want to see more of their country outside of traditional RV parks. And that's exactly what an EarthCruiser is for. It's the best way I can describe it, it's not nation travel. It's a vehicle that you take where you don't know where you're going to end up that day. And for some people, that's a little bit scary. And for some people, that's exactly what they want. They want to have the confidence to travel, go somewhere interesting, and know that the vehicle was made to do exactly that.
So it's more for adventurer, right?
It is. It is. And our original intention was international travel. That's why they fit in shipping containers. That's why you can put them in a container, put them on a boat, and take them to a different country. So that also means that they have some great advantages just for normal travel. I mean, you can go to little towns, you can park them anywhere, they're easy to use, which is all part of the same design scope of work that we set out with all those years ago. They really haven't changed all that much in over 20 years.
Okay. And when you started that in Australia, how big is the team at this moment?
In Australia, it was interesting. It's a very good question, because having manufacturing experience down in a couple of different places, and particularly as someone who starts the company and learns the different rules, in Australia, particularly for small companies like ours, it is very typical to have subcontractors, have a small group of your main people, maybe 4 to 6 of your main people, but oftentimes it's contracting. And there's a lot of different reasons for that, but some of the key ones is skills. You're looking for very specific skills, and those people with those specific skills are people just like us us in our conversation who say, well, maybe we should be doing this for ourselves. And so rather than working for someone, they start their own companies. And that works very, very well in a place like Australia. It didn't work overly well as much in the United States. And I'm not exactly sure. I'm not sure I can put my finger on why, but I think it's probably to do with vocational training in our industry. There, in Australia, if you wanted to advertise for, say, a vehicle builder, all right, you put through the normal advertising channels. If you're looking for that skill set exists. It's a 4-year apprenticeship, plus some university, plus a lot of hands-on. It exists, but that does not, as a specific trade skill, that doesn't exist in the United States, particularly where we are. So I think it's a little bit harder for some people to say, okay, that is my trade skill. That is what I do. And I'm going to start my business doing just that, because I don't think people recognize it. Certainly there's mechanics. Certainly there's panel repair, electrical, all of that. Absolutely. No question about that. But we were looking for people who could build a vehicle, as in you go to school to learn to build a vehicle. So to answer your question, when we had the factory here, we were at about 50 people, and most of those people come from different backgrounds a lot of military, but different backgrounds, but none of them were actually specifically trained vocationally in the United States to build vehicles. And that was a different experience that we had in Australia. Those people, again, subcontractors, but their experience was building vehicles. That could have been mine vehicles, ambulances, whatever, but that was their skills. And so that's been quite interesting to me. That's
Okay.
as we talk about manufacturing in the United States, very big topic at the moment. But from first-hand knowledge, it was a big shift. And it really starts from the vocational schools. I don't think it should be up to industry also, always to be training the people. There has to be vocational help through universities and schools. I mean, I would imagine in France, your story would be not that difficult. You had choices of automotive schools, I would imagine, to go to.
Yes. Yeah, obviously. If I get it right, when you were in Australia, you subcontracted the manufacturing, then you moved to the US, and it was not that simple. So if I recall correctly in our previous discussion, you had your own facility to build those vehicles.
Exactly.
And can you tell us what happened and what shift happened next?
And so so thank you for the question. So as the adventure overlanding travel in the United States has become more popular, there's more competition. When we started, there was no competition. Nobody else did it. It's so great. But it's also the case that we had to, being, they call it the first mover advantage. Yes, that's great. And it's, people that had truck campers, forever. I mean, I'm not saying we invented any of that. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that for a completed vehicle that was designed specifically for adventure travel, not so much. So first mover advantage, terrific, but it also means that you're creating a marketplace. And the second thing that happens with that is a good way to explain it would be the innovator's dilemma. Are you familiar with that phrase, the innovator's dilemma?
Yeah, tell us, what do you mean by that?
Okay, let's just pretend I hold up this pencil, right? Just a normal everyday pencil, right? Once upon a time, someone invented this pencil. So I have this pencil, and the person who probably invented a piece of wood with lead inside and a rubber on the other end and made it easy to sharpen probably needed one. And so they had their little workshop somewhere and they figured out how to make something that looks like that pencil, right? So they were the innovator. And let's
Yes.
pretend, to keep the math simple, that when they'd made their first pencil and everybody said, oh, I'd love a pencil like that. How much is it? And they said, oh, well, I make it in my garage at home. I, do it after work, after hours. I can sell you this pencil for $1. And people said, wonderful. I'll have one of those pencils, please. Then fast forward, 5, 10 years or so, people love these pencils. And someone says, well, I've been looking at one of these pencils for a long time. I would like to go buy one of those pencils now. How much is it? Now they're $3. Wait a minute. They used to be $1. And you say, but yes, back then I had a full-time job. I did it after hours. I didn't have to have a building. I didn't have to pay insurance. I didn't have to have all these employees. I didn't have to have an accountant. I didn't have to have this. I didn't have to have that. So now they're $3. Well, you know what? I bet I can make it for $1.50 in my garage at home because I don't have to have a factory. I don't. That's the innovator's dilemma. Whereas that as you begin to create something, other people say, well, I bet I can make that cheaper because now I've got something to follow. And that it's a very familiar story. And so that's very much is what has happened to EarthCruiser, and it's normal, and it's not a bad thing. It's a very painful thing that hurts because the way you used to do things must change. Because if you don't keep looking forward, you will at one point just disappear because you have created the opportunity for many others, and the smart ones will see where you have made mistakes. They will avoid those mistakes, and away you go. So does that make sense?
Yes. So do you mean that you were selling your EarthCruiser, you increased the price because your cost went up, and then you started to have competitors in the US that forced you or pressured you to lower your price again?
Exactly. And that is normal. And so how does one do that? How does one, how do companies normally do that? Really, there's only a couple of ways. And if the economies of scale work, okay, great, that's terrific. But often what happens is they'll go offshore. That is the most common way, all right? Labor costs, big one. But there is a balance too. Is will the market accept the volume of work or the volume of product you need to create to get those economies of scale? It's so, it's a balance. And so what we have done and we were starting to do was change the way we do things, because where we are in Bend, the factory is in Bend, Oregon, which was close to Michelle's parents, which is why we're here. It's so as larger companies, particularly, you're on the East Coast, I believe. You're somewhere in Detroit, you said?
Yeah, in Detroit, Michigan, in
Okay,
the
right.
Midwest.
So exactly. So the manufacturing infrastructure that exists there is 100 times what the
It's massive.
manufacturing.
Yes.
Exactly. That manufacturing infrastructure does not exist where we are. It's just not here. And so for us to have any economies of scale, improve lean manufacturing, do all the things that we need to do to be able to get our products closer to now what is now a growing market expectation, not just relying on the early adopters. So now we want more of the general market, more of the addressable market. There's only a few things we can do. Is that we either can start a new factory somewhere else or go to more of a contract manufacturing model where we've said, well, okay, we now have our products, we now know what we're making, and we have customers want our products. And so now, which is what we are doing, rather than start a new factory, say in the middle of the United States or on the East Coast, we've gone, no, we're going to partner with other larger than ourselves manufacturers to say, make our products for us. And what we will focus on is our distribution. Because before we were making it, creating a market, doing the distribution, the service, everything. That gets very expensive very, very fast. And so now we've said we've got our own products. We've got our distribution now. And so now we're having those manufacturing partners to build the products. And so we can focus on the things that we are very, very good at and let them use their economies of scale to help us lower the price. And that's exactly what has happened. So what we don't want is a situation where we're bringing a poorer quality product because we're trying to meet a price expectation. We want to build a product that is still at the expectations for our customers' experience, but we're more of I hate to say the word market because the people are the market. We're the market. We're the people,
Yes.
right? I hate the word market. Is that what, for more people to be able to enjoy the products at a price that makes sense to them. And that's what we're doing. A long-winded answer to your question, but I think it's normal. It happens a couple of different ways. Sometimes companies get bought and sold and consolidated. That happens. It goes a couple of different ways, but that's what we're doing. It's something that we've never done before. This is new to me. We've certainly made some terrible mistakes, but it's actually starting to go really well. It'll probably be the best thing we ever did.
Yeah. Well, so to recap, because it's impressive, you started with a product, like maybe even before that, a dream, a product, then you build your own brand, you created the marketplace, even though we have market in the marketplace, and then you change continent and seeing that you could not keep the same way of working. You pivot, so you were flexible enough to change your way of working, which is not many people do. And as you said, some company fail, some company close just because they cannot adapt. And you were reactive enough to pivot for, and now, so with this manufacturing contractor, you had to build your standard of procedure, right? Or you have your product, you know how to make it, you are teaching them how to do it, so
Exactly.
that you hand off those activities and you can focus on, you mentioned marketing and sales, or you didn't, you said distribution. But for anyone watching, what's your main focus? What do you mean by distribution? Maybe the question is, how do you acquire customer?
Okay, perfect question. So I think this resonates with a lot of small companies like us. I mean, going back to our pencil analogy, we've focused very much on small companies for distribution. Small, when I say small companies, anywhere from maybe 5 to 20 people as who are there. What they generally do, they're in the outdoor adventure vehicle business, upfit or build up vehicles for people to go and enjoy. And so we've specifically sought them out and said, look, how about you partner with EarthCruiser? We will promote you as, because they are experts in their fields, which is they are very authentic. They know what they're doing. They know how to take care of their customers. We want to partner with you to sell our products. So rather than the normal distribution model of, say, just a large and of the sales place, sometimes enormous, we didn't want to sell our products through them because we felt that those those customers that go to those places probably aren't our customers and are looking for a different experience. Our customers want to actually have a close relationship with the people selling them their products because they are like-minded. They want a place to learn. They want to become somewhat of a club. It becomes somewhat of a destination for them to meet other people who want to travel together. And so that is what we've been doing very much in the last 12 months, is building up those relationships with other small companies who see their customers not just as customers, but also, part of their group, part of their tribe, part of where they want to be. And that's been very successful. So, and the other thing it does is promote and help small manufacturing in small places, small towns, medium-sized towns, which that works for us because that's a language that we can speak. We know what it's like to start a business in a relatively small place, build a following, do all of those things and go through all of the ups and downs. We know exactly what that's like. And so we can communicate well to these people because we understand that they don't have, back end office of a building full of lawyers and a building full of accountants. No, that's what they're doing after work. We understand that. And that, if you will, they're our people. And so that's what we've done. And again, it's early, but that's what we've been working on the last 12 months. And I would say that we've got some wonderful people, just terrific organizations. And we just can't wait. We just can't wait to support them.
That's an innovative way again to create this marketing. So you mentioned building a community, and that's so unusual to have a community, because and maybe you can tell us about it, because it's at the end it's a very small niche that you are targeting, those people that want to to travel with those vehicles, or is it?
You might be surprised.
Okay.
The fastest growing, so there's lots of different numbers what the outdoor industry is worth in the United States. I have been told, and this absolutely needs to be fact checked, but I've been told it is worth more than mining. It is worth more than oil and gas. The outdoor industry in the United States is enormous, and that encompasses, fishing and hunting and skiing, just all of that. But all of those customers use products like ours. It's still not necessarily for travel. It's for traveling to go skiing in a remote area, or whatever it might be, or hunting, or whatever it might be. And so the industry itself, it's I think it hides in plain sight, but it is enormous. And so the the general RV industry is about $8 billion in the United States, and the fastest growing out of all of that is the overland adventure segment. It is growing faster than anything else, and generally speaking, the RV industry is a bit lukewarm in the last 2 or 3 years after COVID. The overlanding and the adventure travel part of it has stayed really strong. And so, yeah, I think it's driven by a few different things. I think there's, again, long-winded answer, but I think there's a few things. I think there's some generational change in how people want to travel. I mean, does it make sense for a lot of people to go and buy a relatively expensive RV, maybe $40,000 to $80,000, and store it for 6 to 9 months, pay storage on it for 6 to 9 months a year? A lot of people do that. Wouldn't make more sense to spend that same amount of money on a vehicle you can use year round? What's the difference? One was designed to be used year round, one wasn't. EarthCruisers are designed to be used all over the world year round. And so I think there's more to it, and I think that's why people are excited about it, and I think that's why we've had to do what we've had to do, is because people go, well, hang on a minute, I've gone and bought this RV for X amount of money, I'm making monthly payments on it, but I only get to see it 6 or 9 months a year. Does that make a
Yes.
lot of sense?
Okay. Interesting, because what would you say to someone that is hesitating between buying a pickup truck, standard pickup truck for the year round, and why would they choose an EarthCruiser instead?
Well, we have we have campers that will fit on that pickup truck. So all of the good things that we have in our big trucks, we have for that pickup truck, which is what we're getting at, is that we want to encourage people not to necessarily spend $500,000. I don't think that's necessary. We want people to say, yeah, you have a pickup truck. Excellent. It's done all of the right things. It's been crash tested. It has fantastic service all over the United States and beyond. It has proper seat belts in the back, particularly for kids, which is actually a very big topic on itself at the moment with van conversions, where, yeah, the seat belts are correct, not questioning that. However, having a collision in a van, very popular van conversions, I think they're terrific. It's not about that. But having all of that furniture and all of the items and utensils inside the van in a collision, all of that becomes dangerous. And so a pickup truck, as to your point, makes a lot of sense that, okay, the house and the vehicle is separated. And so you can still have you can have as I would say, have your cake and eat it too. You can have your very great safe vehicle and have your camper and your adventure vehicle side by side, and you are not limited. So yeah, we build things that you can put in your pickup truck and then take out again. So you've got your pickup truck and you drive it wherever. Now you want to go on your great adventure, you pop it on and away you go. So yeah, no, what you're saying is right. That's exactly what we're getting at. That technology, all of that we've learned over all of this time, we want to make it more accessible so more people get to enjoy more of their time. That's exactly what we want to do.
Okay.
It's a different conversation.
Yeah, it's maybe a generational conversation, as you said. There was a shift
I
with
think so.
COVID,
I
and
think so.
yeah,
It's actually quite anyway, so there you go. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And as you know, from the automotive world, the cars are just getting better and better. They're getting more and more and more reliable all of the time. They're quiet, they're comfortable. That compromise doesn't exist like it did once upon a time where a pickup truck, it was a farm truck and it wasn't necessarily comfortable. That's not the case anymore. They are absolutely beautiful. I mean, they're quiet, powerful, reliable, everything you want. So it does make a lot of sense, doesn't it?
it does. It does. Okay, interesting. So now maybe I have another question more related to the mindset that you need to have to build what you have built by yourself with your team for those 20 years. What's the mindset that drove you all the way here?
Can you be a little bit more
I
specific
mean,
for me?
you have created everything from scratch. So you start from a different country. Then you build the manufacturing. You build the brand. Let's say you are. Can we say you are the reference in that expedition vehicle market? So you are
Sorry.
number one.
Oh, yeah,
Are you?
definitely number one. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So how do you make something from zero to number one? What's the mindset that you need to have as an entrepreneur, a CEO?
I'm not sure it's about mindset. I think to be successful, you must really believe inside and out in what you do. And so I think it would be impossible if we really didn't believe that traveling the way we travel isn't the very best thing to do. We just absolutely love it. I mean, we just love it. If we didn't love it, it wouldn't work. I met my wife, Michelle, in a Malaysian jungle on an off road event, right? So we're on opposite teams, we're competing against each other. So I think because we're that kind of people, I think that goes through everything we do. And there's also a big risk in that. And we definitely made that big, well, I made that big mistake is that just because the passion and the absolute drive to do it doesn't always transfer onto a balance sheet. So you must get the people around you who go, look, that's the best idea in the whole wide world, Lance. But by the way, you can't afford it and there's no money in it. So we're not doing it. You know, you've got to have those people in the room. And for a lot, we did. I mean, and sometimes we didn't. We had some times
But you mean,
where
sorry, Lance, you mean here you need what kind of people? Contrarian thinking people? What do you mean?
I think so. People that go, okay, all right, Lance, that sounds terrific, but is that really gonna pay the bills? You know,
Okay, okay.
you know what I mean? It's so you've got to. It's there's a balance there, and I think it's easy to go either one way or the other way. You go one way, all we care is about is the balance sheet, and if not making X amount of money and whatever, it's no good. And you can see sometimes when that happens that the soul comes out of a company, and that hurts. Go the other way, you have some mad, crazy inventor person who wants to build all sorts of weird and wonderful things. But if the market and the customer doesn't want it, or it's not efficiently made, of all the other things, that can also fail. So to answer your question, it's never just one person. It's always a team. It's always a group of people. Look at any successful entrepreneur. It's never, but there might be a person out the front, but that's not just it, is it? It's always the people around them that are really helping, bounce them down the road to get to where they need to be. And I think a question we really need to discuss is that as any company goes through different stages, how do you know what's the people you need to get around you at that different stage? And in the earlier days, it was much easier. But as the company got bigger and we were changing and the marketplace and the consumer was changing and there was COVID and there was interest rates going through the roof and all of that, I didn't know the right people to get around me at that time. And so I hand in the air. I absolutely made some bad choices thinking I needed these people around us. It was a terrible mistake. Bad mistake, horrible mistake.
Could you tell us one example?
It was more, I was thinking that we needed more corporate structure, more people who had more experience than I did in running larger companies, who had a better understanding, not of banking, wrong word, not that, but just more of an understanding of, say, more of a corporate structure. And it was a terrible mistake. I found out that they didn't know nearly as much as what they thought they did. And in some ways, they're good people and they're honest people. That's not the thing, but they weren't the people that we needed. But I didn't know that. So in 2020 hindsight, and I say this to everybody, when you have people who are advising you, or if you're advising someone, if people ask your advice, give them honest advice. Don't tell them what they want to hear. Tell them what you really think, because that's what they're asking you for. And if you say you don't know, say that you don't know, but let me help you find someone who might. So I think it's a two-way street. It's the people, like us, who have got our little companies and we're trying to do things and we're looking for advice and we're asking questions. And some people just want to say something so they feel important. Don't be that person. If someone's asking your advice, you give them what you know. And if you say, listen, I don't think I'm the right person that should be answering this, but let me help you find someone, those people are golden. Don't ever lose those ones, because it can happen that people, they just want a job. They just want to be that, the rock star in the room. And the person who's looking for the help is looking for help for a reason, because they need help. And if you're asked to be of help. Otherwise, you can do terrible damage. And that's what happened to us.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I mean, that's
Yeah.
probably a bit of a long-winded, again, answer for you, but I think it's really important. We want to share our experience because we've had some good ones and some really bad ones. No one learns from your success. We learn from our mistakes.
And that's a good lessons learned. Thank you, Lance. No, I appreciate that. So before to wrap up, I have to ask, because it's also on my domain, regarding AI. Have you, along the way of your company, used any AI solutions by any chance?
All the time. All the time. Yeah. So we do it a lot, particularly for research, for helping with vendors, fact checking. It's marvelous. But I think it's very interesting because we are going through a phase of hiring right now and preparing to hire. And so with the advent and with AI in all of its different forms, whether it be marketing and whatever it is, I think it adds a lot of challenges to understanding who to hire. I mean, we always want to hire great people, but how do we know what skill sets? And particularly if we don't have a lot of experience with artificial intelligence ourselves, how do we know what questions to ask of people we want to interview? So I think it's a very interesting time. AI is fantastic. I really do. But it is also just one more tool. It's not a solution inside of itself, but it's also a very, very powerful tool. And I think it's going to be very difficult over the next, I would say, generations of hires of what people get what roles. I sense that there's many people who will be leaving university in the next few years that are probably not going to get the role that they expected, because that role has changed so much. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen there. I noticed that current hiring is worse now than it was in 2009, which is very, very interesting to me.
Actually, it's very profound, because I never thought of that. Now, when you want to hire someone, you need to double check again and again, triple check. What do they really know? Yeah. Well, AI can be great, can help you do amazing things. Like you can become a a human, a better version of yourself, but it can be dangerous or scary. You need to treat it carefully. You are absolutely right.
The way I think about it is, it goes a bit like this. The day that everybody was given $1 million, everybody in the whole wide world was given $1 million. Did anything change? Nope, because everybody is now the same. They just have $1 million.
Okay.
Nothing changed.
Yes. So how do you differentiate them?
Bingo.
Okay.
It's
Interesting.
what you're going to do with that $1 million is what's going to be the difference. So that's the best analogy I have for AI is, okay, we have this very powerful tool. How are you going to use it, for a greater purpose? What are you going to do? And so that is in itself is an interesting question to ask people in the interview process.
Yep. That's a very good point. I appreciate that. So, Lance, thank you for being with me today.
Thank you.
Where could we find you if we want to connect with EarthCruiser?
Just EarthCruiser.com. That will definitely find us for sure.
Do we need to use some of your channels and partners, as you mentioned? Or...
No, just get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. I really appreciate the opportunity to have a talk. I feel like I've just done a lot of talking, but thank you for the chance. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Lance. My pleasure. All right. That was it for today. A podcast with Lance and his expedition vehicles. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. See you around.
Take care.
Bye.
All right.